Any latest, if there is a latest, on where you're at regarding the appeal to that low blow suffered by Oleksandr Usyk against Daniel Dubois, and Usyk eventually went on to win it?
We haven't had anything back from the WBA yet, but that's nothing unusual. It'll probably take, I think, a good few weeks before they give us a date when they hear it.
But you're still of the belief that Dubois got robbed on the night?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't a low blow. It definitely wasn't a low blow, and the referee, what the referee did was terrible. I mean, the referee should not. At one stage, I think it's after about 2 minutes, he indicated he wanted to fight on Usyk. He went, no, take some more time. That's not his role.
Oh, we was at ringside there, and it wasn't a low blow. That is a fact. Forget where the protector was or whatever. The shot landed in the pit of his stomach. That was a fact. He was clearly hurt from that shot. You could tell by his reaction when he was on the floor. By the way, if it was a low blow, you're holding somewhere slightly different to your hip bones, and that's what he was doing. And the referee he's got
a lot of previous for it.
Yeah,
I mean, that's what before the fight, I kept saying there's going to be an upset here because I genuinely thought if he catches him, it'll hurt him and he'll take him out. And you see the warm up with Don Charles. You look at him, it was all body. That's all he was screaming at him, body. He doesn't like it down there, Usyk.
But the referee's reaction was very strange because he took some time to decide what it was, and then he ruled it as an accidental low blow. He said it was or something, and he gave him that 5 minutes, like you said.
And before the fight, what you're supposed to do, the referee's supposed to go through what is an illegal blow and what isn't, and where your belt line is on your shorts. He didn't do that, and Don, we got it on film in the dressing room, said to him, he wears his shorts high because in the BA rules, the rules are it's the navel. It's nothing below the navel. And all boxers, including Daniel Dubois and everybody, wear their shorts high.
It wouldn't be the best result for you, Frank, if, not that I'm being pessimistic, but I will be for a second, if Joe Joyce doesn't win this weekend and Daniel Dubois doesn't win the appeal, all of a sudden, not one but two knockbacks and setbacks, and they're your fighters.
Well, listen, that's the business we're in, and if it happens like that, it happens. And obviously, we'll bring our guys back and get them into positions where they'll challenge. Still, they're certainly, as far as Daniel's concerned, he's a young man. He's got to learn from that fight in a big way because there were certain things in that fight that I didn't like. I know he lost heart because of what the referee was doing. The referee warned him before in the previous round about a low blow, which wasn't a low blow again, and he lost heart. But that's not what it's about. It's about gritting your teeth, and it's about, especially when the fight ended. I mean, he went down. It was a very good punch, momentum from a very good jab. He went down. He didn't complain. The referee called it off. He just accepted that, and I didn't like that. I'd like to have seen him grit his teeth and.
He lost momentum, didn't he? That was a problem. That 5 minutes, you see him just sort of like, because we were sitting there watching him, you see him coming down.
And you got 46,000 away fans. You're in the other guy's backyard. You've got to knock him out to win because he was behind on points. You've got to do that. And when you do knock someone down, the referee does that. It's a bit of a thing.
You're being alarmingly quiet over there.
No, I'm listening. I think Frank was actually talking about at the end of the fight, the ninth round, where Daniel perhaps needed to bite down his gum shield and get up.
He blew a gasket before that. That
may well be the case. I mean, the two things I think that he can take significant lessons from these things. He must take significant lessons, whatever the outcome of this appeal is, whether it's a re-establishment of his mandatory position, whether it's a rematch. I doubt it'll be a no contest, but whether something positive comes out of it or not, there's lots of things that Daniel has to look inside himself for. One is the ability to have had the opportunity. There was an opportunity, irrespective of whether that kid was down, Usyk was down for 3.5 minutes, there was an opportunity for him to jump on him and take advantage because he was still hurt, and for some reason, best known to himself, he didn't. And in the ninth round, he has to look at himself and say, could I have done more? Did I go out of my shield? Is that what I'm about? And do I want this enough? And those are questions only he can answer. Because clearly at 25 years of age, I mean, we can look back at Tyson and say he was 21, and we can look back at Cassius Clay and say he was 21. But most heavyweights come to a certain at a certain age. So he's got plenty of lifespan in him, but he's got to psychologically want the battle.
He's got to want it.
But this is the point.
He's got to want it. And I've had this conversation, by the way. I mean, I've looked him in the eye and I said to him, we're moving on now. Whatever's going to be is going to be regarding the appeal. But you're now, in a lot of people's eyes, they don't fancy you as the real deal. So every fight you have now, you've got to grit your teeth and get in it.
What did he say to that, Frank?
Oh, he said he wants it, but you know, you've got to do it in the ring, haven't you? It's no good telling me.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, you've got to do it. A good fight, I think, would be him and Joshua, because both of them have been criticised recently about their desire. You know, whereas Joshua was a big, he is a big puncher like Daniel, and you look at his last few fights where, you know, you'd like to see a bit more out of him. So I think that would be a cracking fight. Then.
Not as appealing as Wilder Joshua, the Frank. It wouldn't be as appealing as Wilder Joshua, would it?
I think with the British fans it would, because you've got two big. Look, any of those fights where they're big punchers.
Yeah,
they're big punchers. I haven't got a problem with Wilder Joshua, but it ain't going to happen. It ain't happening. I mean, I've had that conversation on many times, and I said, you know, I don't see that fight happening in Saudi, and I don't see it happening in Saudi at the moment at all. So
I think what Daniel proved out there in Poland was that actually he can compete with the highest level.
Gave him his
That's
hardest.
because he gave him a tough fight.
He gave him the hardest fight he's had at heavyweight, no doubt about that. He hasn't had a tougher fight.
I know, but we must move past the idea that there's nobility in poverty. You know, we can all look at things from a point of view. Daniel Dubois, if he wants to be a competitor, we know he can compete. The argument is we want him to win.
How much do you want him to compete?
We want him to win.
Yeah.
And this is what he has to believe. And I do believe Joshua versus Dubois would be a good fight. I don't believe it's as big a draw as Joshua versus Wilder, because those two boys have won world titles and they've earned that heritage, right?
That.
Yeah.
Daniel Dubois getting an opportunity to have a fight with Joshua now would be the predominant beneficiary of that would be Daniel, economically and logistically, and they wouldn't take it because there's too much risk in it.
I think a loss.
But who's he going to fight who's not a risk?
Well, they'll do their level best to give him an opportunity to fight someone with a marginal amount of risk.
Because at the end of the day, we keep talking about the famous table. You've got to get yourself a seat back at the table. So who is he going to fight to do that?
Yeah, I mean, but your matchmaking and your structuring of Daniel got him an opportunity that very few people would have got him. That's on you. You created that opportunity for Daniel. I'm not entirely sure the wins against Lorena and Trevor Bryan would have catapulted him to a world title shot.
Well,
but you match-made him there. You match-made him there. It was clever creation from you. But to put him in with Joshua, I can't see, besides the two people in the room having a negotiation, which is you and Eddie or George and Eddie doing it, you'll get that fight made.
I mean,
and I don't see Joshua wanting to take it, but I think it would be a good fight.
Sam is right. I mean, for Dubois to fight Joshua, you've got to negotiate that with Eddie Hearn.
Well, I think at the end, if you look at that,
you two don't.
If you look at that,
negotiate with each other. Do
no,
you?
my son can do it. But if you look at if you look at that fight though, Jim, he's got to fight somebody. So if he's not going to fight Wilder, then who's he going to fight?